Hello, my name is Michael Zelensky, founder of Lighted. We help founders and C-level leaders build digital-first business where most of workflows are automated, enabling them scale faster and operate more efficiently. And today I'd like to talk about metrics in business process automation. How you can measure whether automation was successful or not, and how successful it was, if it was successful. Traditionally leaders and managers are used to measuring people efficiency, which is time which is required from the workflow start to get the result of that workflow, the time from beginning to the end. That also defines the productivity of an employee, how many results or how much of result, if it's not countable, can be achieved within a certain amount of time. Another metrics which could be used for measuring human productivity is the error rate. How many mistakes or errors the employee makes. Another metrics which you could use in a human-based workflow is the difficulty of the process, how difficult it is to implement a process, implement a workflow, to reach a result, to get a result of the workflow. And that is subjective. Most of the time it's subjective, and it can be measured by a subjective estimate or measurement of each person. Every different person can have different productivity, can have different metrics, and those metrics really depend on people, on employees. In the case of digital-first business, those metrics are not that important. They still play some role, but they become misleading. You cannot measure employees by their productivity. You cannot measure workflows by the employee productivity and those human-based metrics, because the main executor of workflows is the system, the automation, the automated system, which depends on many factors, and it also depends on the operator, which is human, or maybe it's an AI, it's an artificial intelligence. Can also be an operator, but the supervisor of that artificial operator will still be a human. So the metrics will be different for the automated process. In terms of transformation, when we transform a traditional human-based workflow business into a digital-first business, digitalized, automated business, then it makes sense to measure the automated workflow, the workflow which is being automated first, before automation, and after automation. And it also makes sense to continue measuring that workflow during normal execution of that workflow periodically, from time to time. From time to time or in real time, depends on the implementation. If you measure the human-based workflow first, then the metrics will be traditional. Time required for the execution from start to the end, productivity of a person, how many results, how much of the result can that person receive during the same amount of time, and comparing to other employees. Also the human error, how many times, how often do human errors occur, and what is the blast radius of those errors, and what are the losses in the end of those errors. And those metrics can be used after automation for the same process. And in most cases, the results will be very, very good. Expect acceleration of 10 times, 20 times, maybe 100 times. It really depends on many factors. Really depends on how many parameters the automation has, the workflow has, how many human intervention points it has, and so on. How good is the user interface? There can be different user interfaces, graphical user interface, or maybe voice interface, or voice-based audio interface, or it can be a CLI interface. It can be anything. But if it has points of intervention, of human intervention, it will have interfaces, and the quality of those interfaces will define the success of the automation implementation. Sometimes it can be 100%, 100 times, sometimes it can be 10 times. Sometimes it can be maybe depending on the metrics, maybe it maybe is not successful at all, and automation is not useful. Such cases also present, and can exist. If automation, but I will talk later about that. If the automation, for example, has a very high error rate or exception rate, then such automation will introduce more harm than benefits, than advantage. Okay, so those metrics, traditional will be applied to the same workflow after automation, and the metrics will improve, let's say 10 times, many times. In most cases, they will improve. In the beginning, when the automation is fresh, the metrics will be very good. In the case of human execution, the workflow adapts all the time, because humans, people are very flexible. They are adaptive. If something changes, the process will be adapted. They will be changed accordingly. In the case of rigid automation, so if it's automation in a traditional meaning, kind of a pre-programmed algorithm, pre-programmed sequence of steps. I'm not talking about agents. Currently, agents is just a little bit more, or much more, depending on the case, advanced version of traditional automation. There is some reasoning, but it only means that there will be much branchy algorithm, which will take more ways and maybe use more systems, which will be included into that process. So, so that automation is rigid. It's an agent-based automation. It's still not as flexible and not as adaptive as workflows executed by humans. So that means that the error rate or exception rate will be higher. So you need to expect that. But in the beginning, everything looks fine. So when the automation is built on the most recent version of a human-operated workflow, then the automation will work fine, and everyone will be happy, will be smiling and clapping and congratulating each other, and the implementator, the programmer, or the company or the person who implemented automation will get their salary or bonus, whatever. So everyone will be happy. But as time goes and the parameters change, maybe some corner cases will take place, will occur some unforeseen values for parameters, or unforeseen actions, or maybe some system which used to be always stable fails or starts failing. For example, if there is the memory overflow, or the not enough memory, or disk is full. Well, anything can happen, and I've seen this many times. That such things still happen in production, in productive systems, and that automation will fail, and it will start failing more often, and that's why we will need the metrics, additional metrics for the automation, which will be running after the moment of implementation and after the moment of handoff. We will need more metrics, and we will have to measure the automated process much deeper and much more often, even in real time. So first of all is traditional group of metrics, which is the execution time. Same as in case of human run execution, we will measure execution time in the automated process. Execution time, the variance of execution time, how long it takes depending on different parameters. So all that we'll continue measuring, and we can measure it from time to time, or we can just have a dashboard and see how it goes real time. The next group of metrics is the stability or how often the automation fails or stops or requires intervention of people. We also need to keep an eye on those metrics, the stability of the automated process. The next group of metrics will be the error rate. How often do errors occur? How often dependent systems or systems which the automation depends on fail, and if the automation is resistant to those fails. So all that will have to be measured, and one very important metric in this group of metrics will be the blast radius. That's a very important metric, and I mentioned it earlier. In case of a human execution, when a human in control and observes and looks at the process as it goes, the human always think about the consequences, always think about what they are doing, what they're actually doing, and the human error occurs in probably one of two or three cases. One will be the normal fatigue, when a person is tired, didn't have enough sleep, or maybe sick. So So that then another group of cases when a human can make an error is when a human doesn't have enough qualification. For example, if it's a newcomer or a newbie or a person which haven't done that before, then they can make error without understanding what that error means for the organization. And the last error is because of not enough focus. So they got distracted. They were thinking about something else. So those are the cases when humans make errors. And if the process is not automated, a human can make one error and see the results immediately. In most cases, because the process, the workflow takes a lot of time, and you can make a mistake. People can make a mistake and see that mistake, the result of that mistake immediately, and stop the process, stop executing the process, and make the amendments, make the changes into this process. In case of automation, the visibility of execution of that process, of that automation, and human intervention is not always instant. Sometimes it takes minutes, hours, days, maybe even months before a human will pay attention. For example, if the supervisor or the owner of the automated process is sleeping during the night, or goes on vacation, or maybe is sick, but the automation doesn't care about that. The automation goes and goes and goes and goes, continues to execute, and if there is an error, then that error will be unnoticed, and the automation without proper error handling, that's why we need this metric, will continue repeating this error, so we can make so the organization can bear quite a lot of losses. And the blast radius, the greater the blast radius is, the greater the losses are, of course. So we need that metric. Another group of metrics is the cognitive load. The cognitive load is related to humans, not to the automation. The automation doesn't care about cognitive load. Cognitive load is the property of people. Cognitive load means how the interfaces are easy to operate, how the automation monitoring is well organized, how the intervention is easy, how is it easy to stop it and to restart it, how easy it is to maintain this automation. So those metrics should also be in this set of KPIs of the automation, of the automated workflow. It is important. Those cognitive load KPIs are important because I saw many times that an automation, and I've just spoken about that just a little bit earlier, that automations, when they are implemented, when they are launched, they look nice. But as time goes, the automation is updated. The owners of the stakeholders of that automation, of that automated workflow, sometimes it is very, very complex, some very sophisticated, and they make updates to that process, because the process needs to be updated. It needs to adapt to the changing environment. Sometimes they want to improve, and those improvements they actually destabilize the system, destabilize the automated workflow. That is why that metric should always be checked and measured. The automated workflow, especially user interfaces, when they are designed and built in the beginning, where they are very good and they are very easy to use, but as more and more additions you add, the more and more updates you make to this interface, the more difficult it is, the more difficult it becomes for humans to operate that automation. And I saw cases when after 1 year, the people who were new to use this automation, I mean the automated workflow. I don't mean the automation in terms of no-code automation. I mean a fully professional automation in the field where we work at Lighted. I saw cases when the new people working, operating with the workflow are saying that this workflow is not that easy as people say. And in the beginning, at the moment of that implementation, everyone was very happy about that workflow, the interface, and so on. And they still keep that attitude, that impression of the automation. The automated workflow is like a product, like a small product, small, sometimes medium size product, software product. And with time it deteriorates. The cognitive load increases. Cognitive load can also increase when the updates introduce more parameters. Cognitive load also defined by context switching. And by the way, returning back to the traditional metrics about the human run workflow, cognitive load can also be measured there. In fact, I haven't seen, this is kind of a very advanced technique, and I haven't seen this often. I personally would do that, but I don't recall people talking much about that. And that issue is cognitive load during the human run execution. You can read about that in usability books about usability, in which were a lot of them were published in the 90s, in the beginning of the century. That cognitive load can be measured in the beginning and after the implementation, and the results will be the difference, of course, will be huge. But now I'm talking about the cognitive load metrics during the normal execution of the automated workflow. The next and last group of metrics will be the governance. How the governance, the metrics also are included into that governance. The governance means that is the workflow observable? Is it easy to maintain? Is it documented? Are there stable logs, and are the logs analyzed, and so on? So that will be all for today, for this video. Hope it will be useful, and please let me know what you think.